Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast, your weekly edition where we talk about movies, TV, music, and video games, not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Thank you for joining us today for the Media Boat Podcast. Today is May the 21st, 2024. This is episode 436. And we'll get right into it by talking about all those things we mentioned at the top of the show, starting with
The Billboard. And we start the Billboard with the music section. Start the music section with the Hot 100.
It's too late. You can't save yourself. You already messed it up.
I don't care if I messed it up. I'm still rolling with the three intros.
All
At
right.
number one, well, I had some help, which is I Had Some Help by Post Malone, featuring Morgan Wallen.
Yeah, you're going to hear his name a lot today.
No, okay.
Uh-huh.
At number two, Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, continuing said beef. At number three, $1 Million Baby, not Hillary Swank, by Tommy Richmond. At number four, a bar song, Tipsy by Shabuzi. And rounding out your top five, Beautiful Things by Benson Boone.
Nope.
As for your albums chart, your Billboard 200, up at number one is The Tortured Poets Department by Taylor Swift. Coming in at two is One of One, that's WUN by Gunna. At three, One Thing at a Time by Morgan Wallen. Coming in at four, though, is We Don't Trust You by Future and Metro Boomin. That's the original one, not the re-release of We Still Don't Trust You, which is still out there charting somewhere. But rounding out your top five is Dangerous, the double album by Morgan Wallen.
Yes, it's back from the dead. I imagine that it came up with the help of I Had Some Help, hitting number one on the Hot 100. I think that all of Morgan Wallen's music probably benefited from that bump. That's at
So we got
least
the
what it
Post
appears.
Malone bump.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you didn't like any of those albums, we have new releases, starting with the Recovery album by Aaron Carter. Yes, that Aaron Carter.
Yes. Released posthumously, of course. He did pass away. Yeah, I did not even know that he was in the process of working on a record before that happened. But here we are.
I wonder how much of this is a posthumous record. I mean, what is a posthumous record, but how much of it is just pre-recorded demos, things that was compiled into an album.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the status of this was. So
But we also have Light Sleeper by Bess Atwell, Frog in Boiling Water by Dave.
I think it's pronounced dive.
It's DIIV.
Yeah.
How about that? DIIV.
Yeah, I know.
We also have Every New Beginning by Tim Ritchie. News of the Universe by La Luz. Electric Blue Light by Lenny Kravitz. Yes,
Blue blue electric light.
yes, Electric Blue Light. Light Blue Electric Light by Lenny Kravitz.
Yes,
Yes,
that live Lenny
yes,
Kravitz.
that father of Zoe Kravitz. And lastly, it's Clancy by 21 Pilots. Yes, those 21
Yeah.
Pilots.
I didn't know that they were putting out a record, but I should have known considering that their songs were all over Fortnite Festival last week before the Billie
Ah,
Eilish
that they
stuff
were
went out.
coming, they were prepping
I was
people.
like, yep, that makes sense.
That
Marketing.
does make sense. All right, let's get into some music. Well, are you going to listen to any of these albums?
No,
No, not even a shirtless Lenny Kravitz.
no, not even the shirtless Lenny Kravitz. No, no, none of these are particular standouts to me.
All right, let's get into the music news then, and we start with Spotify because Spotify was hit with a cease and desist letter from none other than the National Publishers Association over its use of lyrics in its recently launched video function and podcasts, and its remix feature that enables users to speed up or otherwise edit songs to create derivative works. The trade association claims that such uses are copyright violations and must be paid for. The letter is the latest move in several areas of conflict between the NMPA and songwriters groups on one side and Spotify on the other. The two sides are also at odds over Spotify's new premium subscription plans that combine music and audiobooks, which will mean a lower mechanical royalty rate for songwriters on those plans. Although Spotify claims that earnings for creators will continue to rise due to increased volume.
Increased volume that they can't necessarily prove will happen. Increased volume that they're only promising because, hey, if we add new features, surely we'll get new subscribers. Who says? Who says that that's a one-to-one? Like, that's not always guaranteed.
Right. It's increased volume on the basis of we plan to increase our subscriber account, but there is no guarantee that it will increase said subscriber account.
Yeah, I plan to like become rich soon. And yeah, it's gonna happen now that I've said that, right?
I mean, based on our numbers, our subscriber numbers, yes, that is currently on the trajectory.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We don't earn any money from doing any of that, so
That's right, because we are a no profit podcast.
yeah, no profit. Not
Yep.
for profit. Anyway. This is interesting because I mean, obviously, you know, music publishers have a lot of reasons to be angry at Spotify, especially for Spotify's royalty rate. But this is interesting. For a while, I've seen a lot of artists talk about lyrics, specifically part of Spotify. It's like, hey, we don't provide these lyrics for Spotify's use. They must be scraping them from somewhere, question mark, question mark, question mark, and nobody gets money for that. And so it sucks that the people who wrote and published those songs don't get any kind of residuals, any kind of money from having their lyrics displayed on Spotify. And now with the audio books being added into the premium subscription, it's just too big of a thing with too many moving parts and not enough money being distributed to the people who need it. I'm glad that they put this out there, this cease and desist, because maybe a big enough organizing group can put some pressure on them.
I was gonna say, didn't we already see something like this with Genius and Google, where they were taking their works?
Yeah, but that ended up, I believe they ended up settling that. I don't think that that's going to go to court because Google's huge and they don't need to bother. They can just kind of dictate the terms of that stuff. Because yeah, they were scraping from other like licensed music sites to get their search results for lyrics. Like, and we do not have time to get into the other things that Google is doing this week to ruin and discredit people on their search. So yeah, it's just been a miserable,
That's okay. We'll
miserable
just
time.
let their new AI pilot take care of that for us.
Exactly. Yes. Anyway, what else do we got today?
Anyways, we need to talk about some albums.
We do. There's a couple albums that we listened to this week. Why don't you tell me about the Avett Brothers first?
So, the Avett Brothers coming out with the Avett Brothers self-titled album, not their debut album. In fact, they have been around for, get this, 25 years.
Wow, nice.
First formed in the late 90s, first album put out in 2000. This is their 16th album, official album. A couple of EPs and LPs out there. But from listening to this, from little snippets before, I was kind of excited to listen to it. And then I listened to it in its entirety.
Okay.
I will say that I did enjoy them, the majority of this.
Okay.
But not necessarily in the way that it was presented, though. Let's see here, because the song, it's what's that song called? Like the whole album itself is a very country kind of folky album, much the same way that I described it last week from like Turnpike Troubadours, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And I did enjoy most of this album,
Mhm.
except for the way it's put, because there's one song on here that absolutely does not belong.
Okay.
It's like the story of the girl was it Avett Brother album. Come on, we're it's so hard to find out. Uh but yeah, it uh where's that goddamn song?
Googling
Love of a Girl.
intensifies.
Yes.
Love of a girl. Okay.
Love of a Girl. That is an REM rock song.
Sounds great.
Yeah, sounds great. If the rest of the album was like this, it's not. I don't know why this is in here. I love the
Okay.
sound of it though. I
All
think it's a
right.
great like combination of like rock and country
Sure.
into it.
So what's the
It
problem?
works. The problem is that it doesn't flow with the rest of the album. Because after that, you have songs like Coffee Made and Country Kid, which are like these kind of like slow ballads, kind of like drawn out, like folk folky songs that, much like the Turnpike Troubadours, tells a story. It doesn't repeat. The chorus comes in and out, but for the most part, it's telling the story of like growing up in life and country and like bringing back to your roots. And it's like, okay, I like what they're doing here. But then there's Love of a Girl, which is this standout kind of thorn in the side of an otherwise decent album. And I can't tell if that's a good thorn or a bad thorn because actually love the song itself. I just don't think it goes to the rest of the album. Kind of bothering me to like a huge extent. And I kind of was thinking of like letting you know that you should listen to this and just let me know what you think after 3 songs because it is a huge tonal whiplash being the second song on this album.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, but that being said, I did enjoy my time with it. Not so much in that I'm going to go back to it though. I mean, I did listen to it about 3 times, so it is a good song, especially 20 what's the song called? Like 2020 Never Again, which is a song about like having not only like 2020 vision about what happened, but also about the year 2020, which I thought was a
Mm,
cool play on words with it. So
mm.
there's a lot of like good like musical and like lyrical play on words, especially with like country and like living and city life and country life. But god damn it, Love of a Girl just sticks out like both the best and worst ways of this album.
Okay, well, duly noted. Yeah, I had never even heard of these guys, but sounds like they've been here for a while. Are you going to dive into the big back catalog or?
I actually might, yeah. There's a lot of stuff in this album that I like that make me curious about what else it is, especially if it's going to be more like one way or the other, because they're listed as rock band, not country folk, listed
Mhm.
as rock band. So
Yeah,
I'm interested to see like if it's always been rock or has it just been rock country kind of slowly through there, or since they've been around for 25 years, they are a slow progression of what it used to be to what it is now.
I mean, I guess there's only one way to find out.
And that's to dive into it. But
Splash.
before we dive into it, we have to get ourselves ready and talk about album of the year or the murmurs that I've been seeing.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but we do need to talk about, yes, the other album that was out this week that also has some interesting things to say about album flow, which we'll get to, which is Billie Eilish's Hit Me Hard and Soft. So real quick, so yeah, this is Billie Eilish's third record. First one, we've actually covered all three here on the Media Boat podcast. We've covered the first one when it was originally released. And I remember not liking it that much. And I remember talking about here that I just didn't get the hype. I was not on board with Billy. Then the second album, I had a change of heart. I liked kind of the changes she made. I like how experimental she was willing to be, and I liked how broad of genre like hopping she was able to do, and like she really felt like she was settling into a groove. And I'm happy to report that this third record more or less proves that she has found that kind of space that she wants to occupy. She figured out a way to incorporate some of the more like ambitious and adventurous sounds she kind of played with in her debut into some of these more traditional sounding songs, like songwriting, and kind of make that work and make that juxtaposition, like have fun with it. But even more so in this third one, there are some wild things happening in these songs. There are songs that start one way and zig and zag until they end, until they turn into something completely different, which I always love to see. But the whole time they sound very much like Billie. They don't sound like too far outside of what she's established herself as an artist so far. And I think overall, I really liked what's here. I'm not going to go as far as saying that this is album the material, but I will say that it surprised me throughout. And besides some maybe moving I would do in the track list, going back to that flow comment, I feel like maybe there's some rearranging that might need to be done. But besides that, I had a good time.
Okay. I had a good time with it too. I think that you're right, it does kind of flow a little bit awkwardly in places, but for the most part, it's a Billie Eilish record. Happier Than Ever, I think, kind of solidified her tone of where she wants to go. Kind of like that, not like a transition, but more of like establishing like this is the kind of artist that I want to be, and then Hit Me Hard
Mm.
and Soft is this more or less solidifying that this is the artist, this kind of songs, the kind of stuff I want to write about, sing about, kind of perform. All that being said, all power to her, and Lunch is going to be a hit if it's not already.
Honestly, the album starts so strong. I feel like
Yes.
those first like four tracks are just incredible. I think it loses steam about halfway through, which is where I'm kind of like want to do some editing. But then picks back up by the end, and then she can kind of you like it clicks into place what she's trying to ultimately do. But yeah, I agree. I think Lunch is a number one hit. Birds of a Feather is my favorite, I think, Billie Eilish song I've heard her do. I really, really like it. That's gonna be track one on my summer jams playlist with a bullet. I am just loving that one. And yeah, I think it's getting kind of a mixed reception critically, and I think I understand where that's coming from because I think Billie is somebody whose people have a certain idea of what her music is supposed to sound like in their head, and then she'll do a full album like this, and everybody's thrown off. I think we saw that with Ariana Grande too this year, where people kind of had an expectation of like, this is going to sound this way because we're used to this artist being this person. And then they're like, actually, no, I'm going to do this instead. And everybody, instead of being like open to it, they immediately like, well, this is not who this should be. This should be doing this, this, this. And I'm like, I'm getting tired of that narrative this year.
I wonder how many people are that narrative are coming from the Barbie movie of
Yeah.
what was I made for,
Yeah.
and then coming into this.
There's nothing like what was I made for. And even the one songs that are ballads here are
Mhm.
not ballads by the end of the song. They transform and they like, yeah. One thing I will say though about the experience of listening to this album, it almost maybe benefits not from not paying attention to the song list. And what I mean by that is I feel like the second half of this record is meant to be like kind of one thing flows into another, and it all kind of acts as one very long track. And I think it's better enjoyed that way because I think I was kind of overly dwelling on, wait a minute, is this the same song? Was this that song? Am I okay with how this song like moves from this? Does this transition make sense to me? But at some point after the second listen, I was like, you know what? Why am I caring about this? And maybe that's the point. Like, this doesn't matter. She's having some fun with the structure of this stuff, and I'm just gonna take it as it comes because it's
Mhm.
more enjoyable that way. And
Yeah, you do.
yeah.
Take it as it comes, and that's how she's going to do it. When you hit me hard and soft.
Yeah, I also appreciated that she's a lot more personal in this record. She talks about a lot about personal relationships here, which is really cool to see. Before there was just a lot of songs dwelling on kind of mental health and kind of her own relative happiness, and it's cool to see her kind of branch out and write songs about other things, write songs about other people, write songs about experiences with love and relationships. And it's, yeah, it's just cool to see kind of her songwriting evolve, which I really appreciate. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to say about Billie Eilish?
No, that was my piece. It looks like you're already prepping yourself for something else.
I'm looking at some numbers here. But yes, let's
Numbers.
move on then into video games, where we
Yes,
start with new releases, including a game I swear already came out,
it did.
Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2.
It's now on Xbox and PS5. It didn't get a next gen proper release until this week.
Has that game been out for like 2 years now? three
Yeah,
years?
yeah.
What took them so? Okay, whatever.
I don't know.
I don't know. But hey, it's on. If you haven't played it before, it's on the new systems. We also have Sunnyside for the PC, Eternal Threads for everything. You got it. You can play it. Galacticare for the PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. Hauntee with two eyes for everything. You got it. You can play it. Uh, the remake, HD remake, re-release remake, I want to say, of Paper Mario, The
Yes,
1,000-Year Door for the Nintendo Switch. Are you going to pick up this game?
that is a good question.
I know
I
it's one
thought
of your
about it a
favorites.
lot. Yeah, I know. It is actually my favorite game, period. At least was for a very long time. I haven't replayed it in a while because it's a GameCube game. And yeah, I was really excited when they announced that they were remaking it, but now I'm like, I don't know if I have the time to come back to it right now. And so that's like I'm hesitant about spending $60 on something that I might not have time to fully really enjoy. And so I'm holding off for now. However, this is my PSA to everyone listening to the show. If you like turn-based RPGs and if you like Mario and you haven't played this and you have a Switch, absolutely play this game. It is fantastic. It is a classic. It has some of my favorite writing in a video game ever. It's funny, it's charming. The combat is fun and engaging. The only downside is I understand that in the Switch re-release, the frame rate has been downgraded to 30 FPS. Not ideal, but if you're willing to deal with that, it's going to look better than the old one, that's for sure. So yeah, I recommend this game wholeheartedly. So yeah, maybe someday I'll get to it, but for now, I'm just looking forward to hearing other people talk about playing it for the first time. That's what I'm most excited to hear.
All right. We also have in new releases Pine Hearts for the PC and the Switch. Until then, for the PC and the PS5, Wizardry: Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord Remaster for the PC, PS4, and PS5. Game I also swear already came out,
It
World
did.
of Goo 2 for the
Yep.
PC and the Switch.
Yeah, it just wasn't on the PC or wasn't on the Switch, I guess, and the PC. I don't know, actually. It's a weird one.
Was this just an Xbox game prior then?
It's possible.
Possible. We also have CARDS RPG, The Misty Battlefields for the PC, PS5, and the Switch. Gestalt, Steam and Cinder for the PC. Paper Trail, for everything. You got it. You can play it. Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2 for the PC and the Xbox Series X.
Yes, big Xbox release for the week. I believe that is a Game Pass title.
X Defiant for the PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. And lastly, System Shock, remake for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X.
Yes, that had been previously released on PC, coming to consoles this week.
That's a lot to get through.
I was.
And that was just new releases. So let's get into video game news. And we start with a gamer network.
Well,
Or rather, the gamer network. A
formerly
gamer
known as the Gamer Network after this morning.
well, I don't know. But Gamer Network, which is the family of games media brands, including Eurogamer and GamesIndustry.biz, has been acquired by IGN Entertainment. The UK-based games media company has been acquired for an unknown sum from ReedPop, the PAX and New York Comic Con organizer, which acquired it in 2018. The news was shared on Tuesday, along with confirmation that the acquisition would result in redundancies across the organization. Events such as EGX and MCM would remain with ReedPop. Gamer Network's publications include GamesIndustry.biz, Eurogamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, VG 247, and Dicebreaker. The business also holds shares in Outside Xbox, Digital Foundry, and Hookshot, which operates Nintendo Life, Push Square, Pure Xbox, and Time extensions. If you recognize any of those names, congratulations, or rather, I'm sorry, they're now under one umbrella.
Yeah. The major part of this news story is the part about the redundancies. Unfortunately, a lot of people did lose their jobs this morning because of this. Layoff notices were issued for a lot of writers from these websites, including the I believe the editor-in-chief of GamesIndustry.biz got laid off as well. It's unfortunate because you just see this happen time after time where these larger companies just gobble up these smaller companies, and then a lot of good writers just lose their day job, just poof, up in smoke, because they believe instead of maintaining these individual brands as individual identities, they just want to eventually roll them all under one umbrella and have them just eventually, I guess, be IGN is probably the direction that this is going to go. It's just sad because GamesIndustry.biz, Eurogamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, and VG 240 24/7 are all very like storied, legendary sites that have been around for a long time, and to see their fate kind of go into question marks is really upset. Like it's upsetting, and it sucks in a lot of ways, and it makes what's already a tough landscape for people to write about games even tougher, because this means fewer opportunities, fewer websites, fewer bylines, fewer stories. It's a lousy time for games media.
Didn't IGN just like shell off some of its companies too?
I don't know. I'm not sure if they did, but wouldn't surprise me considering that that's usually the order in which this happens, is that they lay off a bunch of people to slim down, then buy something with the money, and then lay off a bunch of people from the things that they bought. It's just this constant cycle.
Right. I feel like I don't know if
We
we've
covered some
heard on that
layoffs from
story or
them.
not, or if the IGN layoffs or just like the subsidy of IGN was like
Yeah.
the division of IGN was being let go. And then you get this news
Yep.
of, oh, like we're letting you go because we need to save money. But by the way, we're going to buy
Right.
a company for an undisclosed
Right.
amount of money.
It's again, it's venture capital is in there in the system, and they just want the numbers to go up, and they don't care who loses their jobs as part of it. They just want the stockholders to benefit. That's all this is ever about, and it's it's disappointing and depressing.
It, to turn a phrase, it's a business. Although for GamesIndustry.biz, it may no longer be a business.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Yeah.
Rough one for them.
Did you play anything? Did you play more
Um,
Kitty City?
no, I haven't gone back to Little Kitty Big City. They did launch a new season of Diablo 4, where they've redone the loot system. So I jumped into that to check that out. Pretty good so far. Just more Fortnite Festival. They added the Billie Eilish songs off the new record in there. They're fun to play. What else? What else? Oh yeah, and a brief update about the gaming that's happening in this household. A friend of the show, Christy, has now discovered a love for turn-based RPGs.
You know, there's a Mario game coming out. There's a turn-based RPG.
I know I tried selling her on it. But for now, she is way into last year's critically beloved RPG, Sea of Stars. It's on Game
Really?
Pass, and she's now playing it and absolutely loves it. Like it has unlocked something within her. She's like, wait, she literally told me at one point while playing this, there's games like this, and you didn't tell me.
Oh, wait
So
till she gets into card games and deck building.
we'll see about
Then
that.
she's speaking my language.
But yeah, so she's sold. So she's asking questions now about like what she should play next. And I'm like, well, I mean, this is kind of a spiritual successor to Chrono Trigger, which is a classic. And
It's
so
a
maybe
classic,
that's
yeah.
where she goes after this. I don't know. Or something like Paper Mario. I even told her, like, hey, you know what else is turn-based? Honkai Star Rail.
She
But
really wants to get into turn-based Final
yeah,
Fantasy Tactics.
well, yeah, she nixed
Octopath Traveler.
the thing is that yeah,
Is
the
it
one thing
turn-based or
that
is it
told me
turn-based RPG? There's two different things.
we're keeping with RPGs for now, but one thing though that does act as a little barrier for her though, she's awful with 3D cameras. So it has to be a classic 2D or at least presented like a classic 2D RPG because she tried playing Big Kitty, Little Kitty Big City, for example, and could not figure out how to move the camera at the same time as the character. So so basically what I'm saying is no like a dragon for her, unfortunately. I would love if she got really into the Yakuza games, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Technically, Pokemon is
Well,
turn-based.
that's the thing is she's played Pokemon before, and what
Yeah.
I told her is like, well, this is kind of like Pokemon, but it's kind of the next step. And turns out she was ready for the next step. So surprise, surprise. So yeah, I guess I'll update you whether or not she's able to finish Sea of Stars. She's just coasting through it. She's like 3 bosses in, I think she said. So yeah.
All right.
So we'll see what happens next.
Yay. I been playing more Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I fucked up.
Uh-oh.
Fucked up hard.
Okay.
Um, so I'm in chapter 12. I think it's 12, either 11 or 12. And I read online that there's a spot where as you venture beyond this point, you can't go back and finish everything until you finish the rest of the game. It's like, okay, I know, don't go there. Don't go there. And then I saw the little green like side quest up there. I was like, I want to go there. I want to do this side quest and I'll go do the other stuff. And nope, as soon as I entered it, it locked me out. I can't go back. I was like, ah, shit. So now I'm just basically in story mode now, which is probably a good thing. I've been doing so many side quests and just been putting off continuing the story that it's probably good for me to just get back into doing this actual story of the game. And now I'm being forced to. So thank you, game, for doing the one thing I didn't want to do.
It's funny you say that
Play the
because
game.
yeah, it's funny that you say that because I saw a very similar article come up on a website this week of somebody saying like that exact scenario happened to them with Rebirth, where it was just like, yeah, there's just too much side content, and if you power through it, then you're like, well, what's left?
Yep.
Hmm. And you, all
What's
right,
left is you
it's
started over. New game plus.
hold on, wait till you finish what you're doing now.
I know.
Anyway, all right, let's move on then. That's it for
Um,
video games, right? Unless there's something
one
else.
one last thing in video game, but it's a transition into TV area. Um, Madden and NCAA College 25,
Yes.
both versions have been announced. Both
Yes.
versions can be bundled together for the low, low price of $150.
That's not low.
Well, it is if you consider that each game is $70 standalone.
Yeah. Wait. That's not how math works. Wouldn't that be 140?
Yes, but this bundle is the deluxe version. So it would normally be $200, 100 for the college extra bundle and 100 for the
I
Madden extra
see.
bundle. Now becomes 150. Plus, you get
I
access
see.
3 days early and all the other goodies that come with it. And since you already bought it, you don't have, you can just download and wait for it to unlock. But you also do need to have the EA Play Sports thing,
Hmm.
whatever pass to unlock it.
Are you going to do this? Is this why you are talking about it? Is it because you've already committed?
I'm not committed to it, but it is tempting because it is the first college game that's been out in 10 years,
Mhm.
and I haven't played a Madden game since Madden 2021.
Well, maybe you're due.
So it might
I
be
don't
time.
know. Yeah, Madden 25, the game from 2014.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
And then
wait.
I can play the college version as Marvin Harrison Jr. Sorry, not Marvin Harrison, Marvin Harrison Sr. And then you get drafted to the Colts and play as Marvin Harrison Sr. Because back in the original games, because he didn't sign any NDA or any licensing with it, he was only player number 88 on the team and not Marvin Harrison. Same way as Marvin Harrison Jr. has not signed his name, image, and likeness away. So EA cannot use his name, image, and likeness in any promotional art or the college game or the Madden game.
Wow.
It's a great story.
Gee, sounds obnoxious. But yeah, no, speaking of not obnoxious, though, what I'm talking about is, can you believe they didn't come up with a better name than Madden 25? There's already a game called Madden 25.
Right, the 25th Madden anniversary game.
Yes. So now every database is going to have to refer to this as Madden 25 2024,
2025.
which is just
24.
obnoxious. Not even 2025, because that would make more sense. But no, because
Yes,
its released year is 2024,
2024.
it's Madden 25 2024.
Yep.
And then Madden 25 2014. Just obnoxious. Anyways, all right, let's pivot into video game, or no, out of video games into sports. That's right. We
Yes.
always start the television section with the sports corner. Point, point, point. And we start sports corner with some sports headlines. We start with the PGA Championship, or more accurately, somebody who didn't even make it there because they were arrested on the way. Scotty Scheffler, what happened?
There was an accident on the way to the Valhalla golf course. So Scotty Scheffler did his best Arnold Schwarzenegger in Jingle All the Way impression and decided to drive around the traffic where you're not supposed to
Oh no.
and got pulled over and got arrested, mugshot taken and everything.
Oof. Yikes.
Now, granted, he was released and he did go on to play in the tournament and finished top 10. He didn't win, which would have been a better story, but he finished top 10, which is good. But the Virginia county that takes place in is not dropping the charges. So he will eventually be charged. Um, they didn't say when, but they have decided not to drop the charges and will go forward to court. So Scotty Scheffler will be arraigned at some future date.
Dang. Oh well. But meanwhile, though, somebody with a kind of similar last name won their first major at the PGA Championship with a birdie on hole 18. And that was Xander Schauffele.
Shoffley,
Schauffele.
yes.
Schauffele?
Shoffley,
Schauffele.
yes.
I tried.
So
Schauffele.
close. He was actually tied with the mad scientist himself, Mr. Bryson DeChambeau, going into the finals, and going into the last hole on 18. However, Bryson had already finished his round an hour earlier. Had Xander made par, they would have gone to a playoff. Had he bogeyed, he would have lost. The only way he could have won is hitting a birdie on 18. And that's exactly what he did when he laid up his second shot 3 feet from the hole. That's close as you could probably get it without going in, and just
Dang.
tapped it in for the win. And the crowd went wild because it was his first. So congratulations to Xander Schauffele. You now get to plan the PGA Championship dinner for next year.
Delicious. All right, so congratulations to Xander. However, not congratulations to Mystic Dan, the horse who won the Kentucky Derby, lost the Preakness. So there goes its chances at winning the Triple Crown.
Yep, came in second. So no Triple Crown winner this year.
Too bad. We'll wait another year. Meanwhile, in women's water polo news, that's something I haven't said on this podcast, I don't think ever. They've gotten musical support with VIP tickets to Taylor Swift's Paris concert, and Flava Flav will sponsor the team during the Olympics. By the way, the Paris Olympics are still scheduled for July 26th. We're just going to say that every week until it happens.
Until I take out the brackets.
Yeah.
But yeah, women's water polo getting a lot of support. The manager for the women's water polo for the U.S. women's water polo team reached out to Taylor Swift's manager, seeing if there's something they could do for the team, and they surprised them with VIP tickets to the second leg, to the European leg, where she was performing in Paris. And then I think it was like 3 days prior, Flavor Flav came out and just announced that he would be sponsoring the women's team for everything that's not already covered by the Olympics organization. They are technically going for their fourth consecutive gold medal.
Wow.
To dominate. I know that because of reasons. Also, that's good, and also former future almost hopeful Olympian household for women's water polo lives here, so knows a lot of people on that team, and just like spamming me with all this news of look at this, what's happening, look at this, what's happening. I was like, yes, that's water polo news.
Water polo news.
Yeah.
You love to
But
see
yeah,
it.
Flavor Flav just now going out there and shouting, "Yeah, girl!"
Sure. Hey, they can always see what the game time is by looking at his giant clock around his neck.
No, they cannot, because now the water polo logo.
Oh, well,
But
okay, fine,
yes,
fair. That's more fitting anyway. So I'm glad.
it
I'm glad
is.
that he fixed that. All
Yes.
right, let's.
Otherwise, as we are joking here, it'd be the shot clock. Just keep the shot clock going.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right. Anyway, moving on in sports news to some league headlines. Baseball. Cheaters gonna cheat, the league said, as yet again, the Houston Astros have been embroiled in a controversy. Astros pitcher Ronel Blanco has been suspended 10 games for having a foreign substance on his body. There was a stoppage of play last week when the umpires noticed there was some foreign substance in his glove. And yeah, sure enough, they did a full review and have chosen to suspend him. Not a great look for a team already kind of with a reputation for maybe extending the rules, maybe breaking some, maybe not deserving some very important rings they have, stuff like that. And so to bring that kind of specter back to the team is probably no bueno if you're an Astros fan. However, if you're the rest of the AL West, bring it on.
Yep, as you said it, Cheater's gonna cheat. Technically, even though we're about a month into the season, he is not the first person to be suspended. He's just the first person to
Right.
be suspended for 10 games or more.
Yes.
There was a preseason suspension happened in March for third baseman for the Cincinnati Reds, Novelli Marte, for PEDs, which was 80 games, but that was technically started, or it was announced and served preseason. This is the first in-season one that's 10 games or more.
Okay. So the most severe one we've seen quite yet.
And maybe not the last.
And maybe not the last. I did notice another a pitcher on the Rangers also had a stoppage of play last week because of a foreign substance or something going on with the glove that had to be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see anything come out of that. However, that's what I thought when this happened too. So maybe give it a few more days and maybe we'll hear what's going on. It could be a Texas conspiracy. Dun dun dun. So yeah, we'll see.
Yep.
Anyway, other than that, baseball's going to baseball. So we move on to the NBA headlines. The conference finals have been set. The Mavericks will face the Timberwolves, and the Celtics will pace. See what I did there? Face the Pacers. So fingers crossed to see who ends up in those finals.
Yep.
Eliminated so far: Thunder, the Nuggets, the Cavaliers, and the Knicks. Bye bye.
Yep. This does mean that the number one seed in the Western Conference, Oklahoma City Thunder, officially eliminated.
Right.
Your last year's champions, Denver Nuggets, officially eliminated, so no more repeat.
Yeah.
And courtside LeBron watching the Cavaliers be eliminated.
Exactly.
And then the Knicks are going to choke because they're the Knicks.
Okay. Of course they are. But in the meantime, yes, who do you think is going to face each other in the finals?
I'm going to put money on it that it's going to be the Mavericks versus the Celtics. There's no way the Pacers continue their streak right now, just knocking down like the top teams. They're going to get stopped by the number one seed, as we always see in the March Madness tournament, where third round, right before you get to the finals, is where the number one teams usually prove why they're the number one teams. That being said, number 5 team in the Mavericks are going to win because they have Luka Doncic, who's finally going to win his goddamn ring.
It's been a long time coming, but it looks like it's finally going to happen. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, but
Barring
it
any
also means that Mark
upsets.
Cuban's going to get a ring. So,
Well, worse things have happened. All right, let's move on into the NHL, which also has their conference finals set. You'll see the Stars face the Oilers and the Panthers face the Rangers. And seeing how they're seeded, this all checks out.
Yep, they're all the number one seeds except for the Oilers, who are the number 2. But they're only number 2 because they're in the Pacific Division next to the Stars, who are number 1.
Fair enough. That means we have to say goodbye to the Avalanche, the Canucks, the Bruins, and the Hurricanes.
Yep, that Oilers and Canucks game was a nail biter, went to game 7. Canucks actually came back by scoring 2 goals within the last 10 minutes, but couldn't get that third equalizer goal to go to overtime. But damn, was that a good game.
All right.
But yeah, good hockey, and you'll probably see the best hockey out here because all the top teams are now facing each other.
I guess so. So I look forward to some top tier hockey play. Anything else in sports before we move on?
In NFL, rookie OTA camps officially start, unless you're Rashid Rice, in which case it is mandatory.
Fair enough. All right. Let's move on into television news then, out of sports. And we move into talking for another week about bundling. We've
But
been
not the
hot
one
on,
we've been talking about.
no, but we have talked about a lot of different bundles. And this week, we have something called the StreamSaver bundle being brought to you by Comcast. Beginning next week, Comcast subscribers will be offered a package that includes NBC Universal's Peacock Premium with ads, which I feel like premium is very misleading for something that comes
It
with
is.
ads. Netflix Basic with ads, and Apple TV Plus together for a discounted price. As an add-on to Comcast TV or broadband, the StreamSaver bundle will cost $15 a month, a discount of at least 35% compared to with the price of the services purchased separately. Comcast chief Brian Roberts first announced plans for StreamSaver 1 week ago at an investor conference. He said, quote, "We've been bundling video successfully and creatively for 60 years, and so this is the latest iteration of that. I think this will be a pretty compelling package." I don't know. Is it, though?
It's an asterisk because you have to be a Comcast subscriber to the TV or broadband to have access to this. So normal people outside of that do not have access to it. It's kind of like the incentive of why you should get Comcast broadband or Comcast TV.
Yeah.
Unless you're, region locked and you can't get it because of the oligopoly that's surrounding cable
Right.
TV and broadband internet.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
net
yeah,
neutrality happened, so
that's good. But yeah, it sucks though. Like, because yeah, especially it sucks because you're getting two of those with ads, and that's just like defeats the purpose of it, in my opinion. Like, what are you doing? I don't want to pay for something that serves me more ads.
yeah, but
Like,
so you're only paying $15 a month
yeah, I
compared
guess.
to $35, which would be the premium without ads.
Yeah, but I
So if
feel
you're
like
wanting
that's
to
putting
save
a
20
lot.
bucks a month,
Yeah.
that's $240 a year. That's
Yes.
$2,400 over the course of 10 years you could save.
Thank you for doing math for us. I was just gonna say that's a lot of heavy lifting on Apple TV Plus's part.
Oh, it definitely is, yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. We will see. But yeah, I personally wouldn't do it. But hey, I'm not a Comcast subscriber anyway, so it's a moot point. All right, let's move on. We watched a couple of things. I have no idea what one of these is. So tell me
But
what.
one last thing, though,
Oh, my bad. You're right. There's a whole nother news story attached to your news story.
attached to the bundle. Speaking of bundles,
Yeah, speaking of bundles, an update about a bundle product that has yet to be released that we have been tracking here on the Media Boat podcast. The joint venture of Disney slash ESPN, Fox Corp, and Warner Brothers Discovery to package together a sports streaming bundle finally has a name. It will be called Venue Sports. I am choosing to call it Venue because I'm guessing they're going for a venue, like an entertainment venue
that is correct. That is
where you
how
would
it's
go
being
see a sport,
spelt,
for
and
example.
not as I originally read it as the
Venue.
new.
Yeah, I don't think it's Venue, but
No,
Venue. Venue Sports is the name of the product. However, a notice at the bottom of the landing page says that the launch is conditional on receiving regulatory approval and is expected for fall 2024. So, yes, that is a battle that they have not fought yet. That who knows if they will win. This will have to pass regulation to exist. But man, if it does, it would be kind of nice having a lot of sports in one place.
I will say Venue Sports. It's actually a
Good name.
really good name.
It's a good
I
name.
like that name
Yeah.
better than a Spulu, as they were trying to
Spulu.
call it before.
Well, I can't call it that, but
I
yes.
know.
It would be funny, but no, but Venue is a good name for what it is. Yes, the consolidation is scary. Yeah, it's not a great idea. However, for somebody who enjoys a lot of sports, it could potentially save them money. And so I would understand there's a use for this as long as they do it well. So this is a big wait and see, I think. Just put a big wait and see sign on this one.
Yes, it will be.
Yes. All right.
Especially if they do a multi-view. If they do a multi-view, I will
Yes,
absolutely be on top of this.
that would be smart. If they don't, they're wrong. All right.
Yes.
What is the 8 show?
Oh, okay. So we're gonna get to thoughts and talk about the eight show.
Yes, what is the 8 show?
All right. Hey, did you like Squid Game?
No.
Oh, okay. Hey, do you like class inequality?
I mean, I don't like it. I don't like that it happens.
Oh, do you like that if one person earns $10,000 an hour and one person earns $130,000 an hour, and seeing how they coexist in a small, intimate place?
Uh, I'd rather not personally. That sounds troubling.
Okay. Well, that's what this is. Coming from South Korea, it's yet another a dystopian game show.
Got it.
But this one is based off a web comic series, web graphic series from the 2000s, from not the 2000s, but from like 2020, where eight contestants are pulled into this game show. It's say game show because I assume it's broadcast. They say they assume it's broadcast because there's cameras everywhere watching them. And it just shows like it's meant to show the wage gap disparity between hourly workers, which we know about because even though the adage of, oh, we all get the same 24 hours in a day, but if you're making, like I said, eight, like it's $10,000. I'm gonna put it to American dollar here. If you're making minimum wage at say $8 an hour compared to someone who's making $100 an hour or $1,000 an hour, that someone's going to rack up a lot more money a lot faster
Mhm.
and be able to spend that money a lot faster or a lot more freely than someone who has to scrape and skimp and save.
Mhm.
And that's more or less what this show is that it's a contest about one, accumulating more money, but two, to show the lengths people go to stay within the show, because you have to keep the clock running in order for you to continue getting more money. But people at the top, if they have a lot of money, don't have an incentive to continue playing the game
Mhm.
than the people at the bottom who are more desperate to continue playing, because you aren't making that much money. So the more the game goes on, the more money you get compared to someone at the top who's, oh, I've made my $1 million or whatever, $10 million. I don't need to play the game anymore. I'm going to stop. I'm just going to relax. You guys now have to work, in a sense. You now have to continue working, and I don't have to work because I've made the money I want to make.
Yeah.
I no longer care about making money. It's no longer fun to me. And it's no longer a burden to me. It's still a burden to you down below, but not to me up at the top. And that's what I kind of like about the show, is that it just throws that the wage gap disparity just in your face for 8 episodes and shows how desperate people can get to continue playing this game because of the hourly wage that they are receiving.
Yeah.
And it's just a direct mirror comparison to capitalistic society, which is why I started this with, do you like Squid Game?
Yeah, I was gonna say, how does it fare compared to something like Squid Game? Do you think that it's a 1-to-1? People who like one will like the other. Do you think it'll be as big of a
Not quite,
deal?
because there's no killing.
Mm.
That's actually one of the rules. Is there's two rules to end the game. One, the clock hits 0, and then you walk away with whatever money you have. Two, someone dies, and the game ends. So you have an incentive to keep the game going while also making sure you keep the other people alive. And it gets
Mm.
into some psychological issues of people at the top withholding, like, say, food, water, or medicine that other people may need. And how
Mhm.
it's a very microscopic look on how people at the top control everything. Even if you think at the bottom you've gained the upper hand, you really haven't.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
so well done show. I really liked it. They do set it up as a possible season 2, but the web graphic that it's based off of only had the one series for the one season. So if they
Right.
do go for a second season, they'll have to completely make up a new game scenario for it, because I don't think you can do the same thing, especially one, because it gets into that shock value, the very graphic shock value, in order to keep the game running. Of how do you keep it running? Yes, you got to up the ante every single time to get people interested, to get viewers interested to want to continue the game. Because as soon as
Mhm.
people get bored and stop paying attention and stop watching, the game ends.
Okay.
So I had fun watching it. I don't know if fun's the right word. I was very intrigued
Sure.
how they
Yeah.
were keeping it going, because at one point, like right in the middle, it's like, oh, we conquered it. We can now end this game. And then the game obviously doesn't end. So it's like, oh, now what's happening? Now you've intrigued me. Now it keeps going. So it's a really well done show. I think because it's based off a web comic, that they're able to take a complete premise and tweak it a little bit, to make it more palatable for viewing consumption.
Mhm.
And like I said, Korean dystopian dramas are really hot on Netflix.
Turns out they do pretty well for
Yes.
them.
So this is just
Well,
another one. Just mark it off as a hit.
well, cool. All right. So, Squid Game fans, take note. There's something new. So that's called The Eight Show, which is
Yes,
not a good
because
name.
there's 8 people. Also,
Okay.
one fun thing is that one thing that I like is that they don't name each person. They go by whatever floor they're on. floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, up to floor 8. So you don't have to like remember names, just like floor 8 or floor 2. So it's very easy and palatable, and you don't have to like, that's the English name they're using, or that's the Korean name they're using. Like, no, it's just a flat surface, kind of like just a flat entry level of barrier. So you don't have to like think too much about it, because it wants you to focus on the people, wants to focus on the money and the actions.
Well, fun times. Well, again, fun, maybe not the best word for
Fun
it, but
times.
fun to watch, I guess. Maybe. We need better words to describe that feeling. Let's move on because there's another song.
Entertaining?
Another
No.
song. There's
Enjoyable?
another show we need to talk about that also kind of similarly had an ending that I don't know if it was fun to watch. Some stuff went down at the end of X-Men 97, and we need to talk about it.
All right. So I assume that you watched the ending too then.
Yes, we are done with it. We are caught up. We saw how it resolved, question mark.
Did it?
Kind of, sort of, for some people. Yeah. And for others, not so much. I mean, yeah, I think as a whole product is whole season one, I think that the things they were able to pull off here, the stories they told, the animation within this thing, all is incredible. And I'm so glad that today they confirmed that they are working indeed on seasons 2 and 3. Because yeah, good, because it's some of the best stuff I've seen on Disney Plus, period, since it's existed. I think that they pretty much nailed the finale. I think a lot of dramatic things happened in a very dramatic season that they more or less wrapped up. There's some loose threads that I'm sure they'll go into in a future season. But yeah, they should be very proud of the thing they put together, I think.
I think that having a 20-year gap, 25-year gap between the end of when X-Men was last on TV and now allowed them to do things with that future sight kind of baked in.
Yeah.
Because if this was to be a continuation following that X-Men series, a lot of it would be, well, is that really how it is? Like, you set up like kind of this flowery ending, and you're immediately kind of spitting in the face of that. If it was to go like from back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, you're creating this drama conflict just for the sake of creating drama conflict. But as seeing as we have the 25-year gap, and we as a society have seen everything that has occurred in our society in that 25-year time frame, that to have the shift that the original series to 97 has is more in line with, yeah, no, that checks out. Which is also very like inspiring, but also kind of disheartening, because it plays right into the Magneto was right. Even though the entire original series, you play up that Magneto is wrong. Humans can change, people can live together. We've proven it.
Well,
And then you see
yeah.
what happens in our own life
Because yeah,
with
I think
war and
yeah.
elections and
And I think that
capitals.
yeah, and you think you hit the nail on the head there, which is this is what this series is doing, is it's questioning the morality of the original series and kind of the X-Men narrative for the last 2 decades plus, which has been like the assumption that we all collectively make, which is like, well, of course Xavier was right. Of course his utopia is achievable. And of course, this is something that we're building towards and will eventually be the future, because we want so badly to believe that that's the case. We want so badly to believe that that's true. And that's, I think, the most interesting thing 97 is doing, is it's taking this dichotomy that's already existed in the comics and the films, which is, well, who is right? Who of these like opposing, not even necessarily opposing per se, because I don't see them as complete opposites. I just see them as incompatible. And I think that's the thing, is that they can't coexist, the two ideologies. And so this is actually saying, well, hey, but what about if it's kind of neither, is the kind of the message I got here, which is like, yeah, Magneto's closer, I think, to what's actually happening and what we see, this cycle of violence perpetuate. But even he's not 100% right. And even Xavier needs to save himself, save Magneto from himself at the end. Like, because he was about to be on the brink of doing something worse yet again. And it's like, it shows that this balance will always kind of hang this way because neither is a perfect solution to what real life offers these mutants. Just like how in real life the oppressed people in our world, there's no easy solution to that either. We just keep on going through tragedy, through destruction, and we're just expected to live through it. And the people like who, yeah, it's just there's no easy, surefire solution. We just have to work as a community and figure it out together. And that's kind of ultimately the lesson here. So in that way, I think, yeah, it's able to, like you said, use kind of the history of the franchise, use the time away from the X-Men as a concept to its benefit to remind people about what's interesting and what's incredibly relevant about the X-Men as a story.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories, especially surrounding the new mutant that they introduced, Roberto Sunspot, which knew it was Sunspot right away. Like after the first time they showed his powers, like, oh, that's clearly Sunspot. Even though I didn't read the comics, like, no, like, is a one-to-one. It just clicked through osmosis of playing Marvel Snap and other Marvel related
Yeah.
stuff. But it's interesting how many current day parallels you can make to a cartoon that's set in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Funny enough, one of my favorite episodes was a complete Matrix Hang the DJ ripoff.
Yes.
Featuring Jubilee. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, like you're clearly taking current day inspiration and applying it to 90s technology and 90s setting.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked what they did with that. Like I said, taking what we know from the past 25 years
Mm-hmm.
and instilling that into a setting that's in the past of what's supposed to take place.
Yeah. I
That
think they
being
nailed it.
said, it does end itself as a way to bring it to the current day situation. Although I don't know if you would still call it 97 at that point.
Yeah. Maybe the next one's 98, 99. Oh, yeah. Before we move on, what is your thought about this rumor that's been going around, which is, hey, remember that one scene where Spider-Man showed up? Are they going to do a Spider-Man reboot too? And what's the likelihood of that happening, you think?
I don't know. I like that. I saw it more as a wink and a nod to the bigger Marvel universe
Yeah, because he
because
wasn't the
they have,
only cameo that was in that sequence. They also showed like Doctor Strange. They also,
yes,
had some clips with Captain America. And it's like
yep,
remind you every once in a while. It's like, oh, this is a larger Marvel universe, but we're just focusing here on the X-Men right now.
yes. I did like the attention to detail that it was King T'Chaka uh,
Yes.
in the Wakanda video and not T'Challa.
Yeah.
So that's a nice attention, like I said, attention to detail in
Attention
it.
to detail. Yep, they know
Yep.
what they're doing. But yeah, no, I
But no, I
enjoyed
don't
it.
think they. I don't think they would. There,
No,
I know there would be a clamoring for it because just because it's Spider-Man.
yeah, everybody loves
Um,
Spider-Man.
everyone loves it, but I don't think they should.
Okay, well, we'll see. Like I said, they confirmed that there will be more, so we'll see what happens when they make more. Anything
Mhm.
could be in those episodes if we learned anything with this season.
Well,
Anything
especially because like at
goes.
the end of that season, they launch it immediately into Spider-Man Unlimited, where he's in the future, and people seem to forget that exists.
Well, yeah, well, I don't know. It doesn't exist to me. No, that's I didn't watch any of that stuff. Anyway, all right, let's move on then. Unless there's anything else we need to talk about that we watched.
um, watching Hacks, we'll talk about it at the end, but loving the
Okay.
direction.
All right, cool. Good to hear. Good to hear. All right, let's move on into cancellations and renewals.
What am I no longer watching?
You're no longer watching Walker on the CW as it has been canceled after 4 seasons.
Bye, Texas
Right.
Rangers.
Meanwhile, we have some renewals to get through here. Welcome to Wrexham. We'll get a fourth season on FX.
Mhm.
Conan O'Brien Must Go continues to go for a second season on Max. The Three Body Problem on Netflix will get a second season. Will it be called The Six Body Problem? No, it won't.
No. It may be getting third season. Netflix is committed to filling out the trilogy of the Three Body Problem, but they will not be hold it to 3 seasons, which means it could go on however long the showrunners want it to be to conclude the entire trilogy of books.
All right. Fair enough. Then lastly, much to the confusion of people who were pretty sure that they told its story and got out, Shogun will inexplicably get a second and third season on FX. Why? I don't know.
Because it's a hit.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
Yep.
Let's move on to the last section of the show, which is movies. And we start, as always, with your weekend box office numbers. Well, your number one movie is If, the imaginary friend film brought to you by the mind of John Krasinski, but it did not debut to the expectations they had for it, only to the tune of $33 million. So a disappointment for If, but I think they overestimated what that movie could do, frankly.
Well, it's been oversaturation of Ryan Reynolds.
I think that probably helps. Definitely. And
No,
number
that's to his
two,
detriment. That doesn't help it. That's a detriment of it.
yeah, no, that's true. Coming in at number two, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes with another 25 million. That's already at 100 after 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
congratulations. Number three, The Strangers: Chapter 1 made a $11 million in its debut. The Fall Guy at number four made another $8 million. Number five, rounding out your top five, Challengers with another 2.8 million, now available on digital. That's sitting at 43 million. So, in case you're wondering how Back to Black, the Amy Winehouse biopic, did in its debut, number six with 2.8 million, just underneath Challengers. So there you go. No one wanted to see the Amy Winehouse movie after all. But now, what do we have to look forward to in this week?
Summer movie
Like,
season continues.
yes, I teased it last week, but hey, big releases start now. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is finally out this weekend. So get to theaters. I am looking forward to see how ridiculous and crazy this thing is. I am excited. And then counter programming offer for the kids, Garfield. Chris Pratt Garfield is also in theaters this week. Those are your new
Oh yeah.
releases.
Apparently that stars Samuel L. Jackson too.
Yeah, I guess he's in that.
Yeah.
All right. Those are your new releases. Let's move into movie news. Our story this week is a little bit of a group of Disney stories, but we'll start with a Disney story about a familiar location in Disneyland Park. At least familiar if you know a guy who knows a guy who knows a girl who worked there, then maybe
I
you've
can
been
get you
here.
in a
Yes.
wait list for it.
Yes. And then maybe in 2028, you'll finally go and have dinner at Club 33, the exclusive dining club inside Disneyland, who everybody here in Orange County or the LA area knows at least one person who's been there, is getting the movie treatment. Darren Lemke, who has worked on such family films as Goosebumps starring Jack Black and Shazam, has been tapped to pen the script set in a fantastical world about the club. The project is said to exude the tone and vibes of Clue and Night at the Museum, where Club 33 is a magical and exclusive dining club that exists outside of time and space. The club's members are the greatest and most iconic members from the past, but when a murder is committed on the premises, the patrons look to our hero to solve it. That's an okay premise, I think. I think that there's a setup for that to be interesting. Um, but we'll see.
I don't know if it I don't know if it needs to be a Club 33 specific like theme to it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you take it out of time and space. So interesting to see what this will be and kind of like what historical, both real and probably fictional characters they
Right.
decide to bring into this.
Yeah, curious what they'll do. They'll try to do like cameo appearances from Disney characters or what their angle here is. It's interesting.
As long as there's at least one Pirates of the Caribbean or Bayou reference,
I was gonna say it's not the Blue Bayou, it's Club 33.
yes.
I've actually eaten at the Blue Bayou. It's pretty good. Anyway, in other Disney stories this week,
No, let's go to a
approximately
downer story.
yeah, we it goes down from here, folks. Approximately 14% of Pixar's workforce, or around 175 employees, will unfortunately be let go. Before the reductions, approximately 1,300 people worked at the animation studio. The layoffs are part of Disney chiefs Bob Iger's overarching mandate to return to a focus on quality versus churning out content for streaming, which was a priority for his short-lived successor, Bob Chapek. I don't know why that includes laying off staff, but of course it does. It always does, and this is just what we have to deal with. We have to like eat our take our bitter pill in for the sake of the company and the investors. So
I mean, this is part of like, well, when Disney decided that Pixar's films were not going to go to theaters, instead go straight to streaming, then saw the numbers that Lightyear did because it was everyone knew it was eventually going to go to streaming and there was no rush to go out and see it in theaters, that just the numbers weren't there, the box office numbers weren't there, and the return on investment wasn't there.
yeah.
But I mean, to do this 2 weeks before Inside Out 2 comes out, little bit of a downer going into that.
Yeah.
Um, they do have two other films in the pipeline, that being Toy Story 5. Yes, there will be another Toy Story film.
Yes,
And
somehow.
Elio, the little boy abducted by aliens film, whatever the hell that movie will become.
Yeah.
Because they sent out a teaser trailer, I want to say 2 years ago at this time, and we
I
have not
do
heard anything
recall.
since.
Yes, it's been a minute. So yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it just sucks to have that many animators lose their jobs. I hope they figure it out. I hope they find something because yeah, that's really disappointing. Disney and Pixar jobs are supposed to be forever. Like they're supposed to be a company that you work for a very long time creatively. And so to see this is just really disappointing. But anywho, we wrap up the Disney news with one last bit where, hey, X-Men is hot right now. People care about X-Men again. So what better time than to announce a writer for your new X-Men film? Marvel has done just that. They've added Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes writer Michael Lesslie to write the new X-Men film. So yeah, I think that makes sense. Tonally, I could see it.
Yep, right off hot off the heels of X-Men 97, and not off the heels of the last X-Men film, which was 2019's X-Men The Dark Phoenix. So it's been about 5 years since we've seen anything. They finally decided which direction they want to go in, and they've hired a writer.
Yeah.
I believe this will be overseen with a microscope by Kevin Feige. So even though Michael Lesslie is writing it, I think it's kind of safe to say that this will
Yeah.
be Kevin Feige's baby going forward.
Unfortunately, yes, because the thing that we realized about the MCU stuff, and one of the reasons why it got as stale as it did, is because writing by committee kind of sucks. So if that's kind of a downside, but maybe there's going to be a kernel of something cool in this X-Men film. So fingers crossed. So we'll see.
Yeah, but don't wait bated breath, because we got, I think, 2 years before we even got Fantastic Four
Yeah,
casting announcements, and
it's
they're
been a
just going into
while,
production for it.
right?
So we're looking
So
at 2028 to 2030 for the
so
next
yeah,
X-Men film.
we will see what happens then. I mean, maybe who knows what our lives will be like in 2028.
I
But for
don't know.
now,
Maybe Hugh Jackman will still play Wolverine by then.
perhaps. But yes, for now though, that will do it for this episode of the Media Boat Podcast. So thank you for tuning in and watching or listening or however you enjoy the show. If you like to know more about us, if you like to listen to or watch other episodes, we're on YouTube. Just search Media Boat on YouTube to find us there. New videos go up all the time, so click the bell for notifications when that happens. You can also find us in audio form, as many have found us this week, by looking up Media Boat in podcast catchers of your choice, including Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or Spotify. You can also find us on the web at MediaBoatPodcast.com, where we have an archive of our shows, as well as special features like weekly playlists. And you can also find us on the social media world, including X/Twitter, where we're at MediaBoatCast, Blue Sky, where we're MediaBoat.bsky.social, and Twitch.tv/MediaBoat, where you can find Mike playing Final Fantasy Rebirth. Other than that, if you want to email us questions, comments, feedback about the show, please do so. We'll read your emails on the show. You can do that at mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. And that will do it. So we'll be back next week. Tune in for more thoughts, more news, more everything next week for another episode. But for now, bye-bye.
Yep. We'll be back with more thoughts, probably more thoughts on hacks, thoughts on the big prize store, and probably Loot Season 2, because we got Apple TV again. So we'll
Apple
be
TV.
back with all that next time.
Happening. All right.
Okay,
See you
bye.
guys.